That surgery happens.
No,
Got a lot going on. I'm afraid of it.
Great.
Yeah.
I bought the manage. It's pretty small. I'm here, yeah. It was free. I don't. Seriously.
Yes.
Pictures. I still love that the little Spartans, like the Hot Wheels, Jason and shit travels.
But they know Taekwondo.
Coming to the car.
Take care.
I think I got spoken.
Different. You go see old school.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's his favorite.
And hopefully you will find that you.
That would
say that.
And
Hopefully you'll find.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 7:00. Thank you all for showing up. Welcome. And we're called to order the city council meeting for the city of Jersey, it's Thursday, July 10th, 2025, 7 p.m. We'll get started with the pledge of allegiance. Extended. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start with the roll call, please, starting from the left. Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilwoman Petter Wright.
Here.
Council President Liz Wright.
Here.
Councilman Jesse Gibbs.
Here.
Councilman James Gould.
Here.
And including the mayor, we are all here. Evening, Rick. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
There is a second amendment agenda that was posted on Tuesday. So I want to make sure we're all working off the same agenda. There's copies of it on the table back there, so I have nothing to add to the second amended agenda.
Very much. Tonight, we're going to start with the public comments. Knock that out before business because there's quite a bit to do. So in case anybody wants to bring it in. But the first thing first, the city council values and welcomes public input on matters of city concerns. Please address the council as a whole rather than individual council members. The council may direct staff to resolve the issue or schedule the matter for further council discussion. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person with an optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address council, please come forward to the podium, identify yourself with name and address for the record. Anyone? You got it.
I'm already standing up, might as well.
You got it, Mike.
Seasonal, Michael Gregory, 3457 Street, Jervis, Oregon, 97026. Fireworks. Everything went off without a hitch. We did have 2 lulls in the show, and it is required from the state fire marshal that if one of the boxes do happen to catch on fire, that we have to step back and let them come in and put everything out. So there was 2 lulls and 2 duds that we had going on. I've reported them to our supplier. They can say, well, then eventually we'll reimburse you, you know, or give you an extra one. But yeah, so if anybody was watching the show, I'm sure we were. But, yeah, that's the reason for the lulls. We had to step back twice, and then we did have 2 misfires. So I didn't want to report that. Other than that, everything else, all the permits went through. Everything else went up good. All I can say is I think what I've heard is everybody enjoyed the show. So I did want to report while I was here. If there's anybody who'd like to ask any questions, I'm here to answer them.
I'd like to commend you. Actually, it was a wonderful fireworks show. Everybody I talked to afterwards agreed. They said they thought it was even better than last year. They said it must have been longer. It just felt like it was.
It
So
was
a great
long.
event.
And that was due to, we were permitted for two sets of, two boxes of mortars. The mortars make it go a little longer, but they are a lot more work. I can't fill the sky unless I preload, 13 sets of mortars. So it made it go a little longer, but also the $3,000 made me go a full 30 minutes. And that's what I know one time I did a 45-minute show and then they had to go to work the next day. This one fell on a Friday, so most everybody had it off. And then also on Fridays, most people will go out of town, so you don't have as many people watching. But it looked like we had a lot of people. As far as I could see, we had a lot. And the 30-minute show, I think, is perfect. I see everybody's head going like bubble ball, so I think
Yeah,
we're all
it
in
was
agreement.
very good.
All right.
And my kids saw the box caught on fire and they thought it was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, but as I say, we all had to step back. I will also say that it was recommended that everybody in the firebox, next year I'm gonna have all the same shirts. Because we've had problems before with other people trying to join in. And it's hard for me when I text the police officer, hey, you gotta remove somebody. They want to be able to focus on the person that needs removed. But we didn't have that problem this year. The police were commendable. They made sure that nobody had access in or out during the fireworks show. So yeah, I was really happy. But I will see to it that we all have the nice bright fluorescent shirts next time. And the whole firebox team will all be noticeable. So other than that, I'm not gonna waste your time. You said, yeah, excuse me, Mr. Gasser.
It's okay. Agree. I want to thank you so much for what you did. Is there anything we can do to support you better for next year?
I think I had full council support. Everything went off without a hitch. I really would like to also be part of the parade next year. I connected with Mount Angel and I migrated over there for the parade. And while I was there, I was saying, I was talking to the guy running it and I took my 36 Ford over there and we rolled around. He did say too, well, it's good that you guys have it at noon because we have ours at 11. And when we're done, we'd like to migrate over to Jervis and join in. We're already all decorated. We'd just like to join in. And so me and him have been texting back and forth, seeing what we can do. So I want to bring that up to you and let me know because it takes me a little time to get the parade set up. But
Just to be clear, up the 4th of July parade now.
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you.
I have a question. If we talk about a possible committee for 4th of July, would you like to be part or head to that?
yeah, like as you all know, I chaired it for like 17 years already. So I know I got the contacts, I got the book, I got the numbers, and I work well with others.
I just like to say thank you again. My cousin said it was fire.
Okay, thank you all very much. If there's some more questions, I'll step back. You have a busy night ahead of you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to come forward for public comments? Is there anybody online who would like to talk? Not seeing any hands in the air, we will go ahead and move on. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the presentation of Senate Bill 1537, state mandated housing policy for order municipalities. Holly Byron, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, my name is Holly Byron and I work for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. So I serve as the contract city planner for the city of Jervis. This is an information only. I wanted to make sure that the council is aware of some procedural changes to the way that we process land use applications. I know this is a lot of information, but what I want you to understand is that 2024 Senate Bill 1537 requires local cities to make more decisions at the staff level for land use development applications rather than in public hearings. The intent here is really to streamline development applications and to help get more development done expeditiously, especially residential development. So in this memo, what we've included is kind of an overview of Senate Bill 1537 and then what that looks like in the Oregon statutes. The most important part of this memo that you have in front of you tonight is the last page. That's the table on page 7. What that shows is kind of a before and after. So these new procedures have been in effect since the beginning of the calendar year, and most cities don't have excess funds sitting around to pay for these types of legislative amendments to bring your development code up to speed every time a new direction comes from the state. In this case, staff has simply been referring back to statute. And so what this table shows is essentially the current Jervis process, or how you've done things in the past, and then what's recommended moving forward. Jervis is a little bit unique in that you don't have a planning commission. So a lot of communities would have a public hearing and a planning commission for things like partitions, site development reviews in the past. That is no longer the case. Those are the types of applications that now must be made at the staff level. And so not only are you seeing these recommended process changes here to the type of application, but also the way that those types are processed. And by that, I mean a type 2 application in Jervis was essentially identical to a type 3 because you don't have a planning commission. So it didn't make a lot of sense. So now a type 2 means it would be a staff level decision with a prior 2-week period for neighbor comments. So all that to suffice, all that suffice it to say that it's going to feel different. It's going to feel a little less transparent potentially for neighbors. Because it doesn't feel like they can come in and participate in a public hearing. They can still submit comments that are considered. And it might feel like a little bit less control from council because you aren't making as many of the decisions. Appeals of those staff level decisions will still come to you. We need to find a way probably as staff to report out on the decisions that are being made at the staff level to keep the city council informed. So the Council of Governments is seeking funding to help our local communities perform amendments to your development codes to comply with this legislation and others. We'll keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, just know that we'll refer to state statute when we receive and process these land use applications. So I'm happy to answer questions now. You have a city attorney here who would also love to answer some questions. So let us know thoughts, questions, concerns.
First question I had when I was reading it was for the neighborhood comment periods.
Yes.
50 days on one and the other one you have 20 days. How are the residents or neighbors going to be notified if they don't see like the agenda popping up?
Right. So for say for example, a site development review in the past, it's been a 20-day notice mailed to neighbors within 100 feet of the project, notifying them of the public hearing. Now it'll be that same 100 feet. It'll be 14 days prior to the staff decision that neighbors can submit comments either by email or in writing. And then once they do submit comments, that essentially ensures that they have standing to appeal a decision. They'll get a copy of the notice of decision.
Part of your question was different the 14 and 20. The 20-day one is we're still having a hearing to us, if I understand this correctly.
There are some application types that will still have public.
Conditional use permits, planned unit developments,
Yep.
zoning use.
Yeah, and the key here is really any type of application that requires discretion. And those are still type 3, still public hearings.
So like the stuff with the school that's going on, if there's still things coming down the line with the school,
Yeah.
those would come to us.
So there's site development review. So like the new middle school building, that is a staff level decision now instead of.
Do we have any land use applications right now that are affected by this change?
The middle school application is currently in staff hands.
So,
Information only.
thank you.
Any more questions from the council? So that's it. Thank you all very much. Ladies and gentlemen, next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. For the minutes from the June 4th meeting and June 5th city council meeting. Has the council had a chance to review the documentation? Did anyone notice any errors or any questions?
On my, I think it's supposed to be, it says Monday, April 28th, 2025. We did the public works session on June 4th. Is that? I don't know why it says Monday at the top. Or is it just saying that we had the special meeting for the budget committee that day?
That's an error that we'll get to.
Okay, it looks, I was like, wait, I don't think that's supposed to be. Thank you.
You have that noted, Rick? Thanks.
If you look at the top of the paper,
Is it in the header?
it's in the header.
To know.
I wasn't trying to be nitpicky, but I saw that as an error.
I had not.
Should be good. Any other changes besides that? No issues? Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent calendars?
I will motion to approve the consent calendars.
I'll second. With the revised stuff.
All right, there's been a motion, a second, to approve the consent calendar with the revised item on it. Vote, please. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar as is with exception of the one addition, say aye.
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 All ayes, no nays. So passed. All right, first item on the old business is ordinance 25-003. Rezoning multiple Juris School District properties to public facility zones.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor and Council. Mr. Mayor and Council, this is the ordinance that enacts the decision of the council from your May meeting, in which, after a public hearing was held, the council directed, approved a land use designation change for the school property and directed staff to create a ordinance stating that decision. So for those that weren't back here at the May meeting, essentially it's a housekeeping rule, and I would welcome to be corrected by our city planner. It's a housekeeping rule that the designation of the school property being a public improvement zone, which is what it has been in reality for many years, being designated such within our zoning maps and our zoning plans, because the work that's currently goes on right now is a totally different process, being zoned public improvement versus being the previous zone. So what this ordinance does is make reality in the paperwork and designation of the school property being zoned public improvement zoning. Ollie, did I correctly explain what this ordinance is? Excuse me.
Yes, sir. I did catch a typo in the packet I wanted to point out to make sure that we're all using the same legal document. Looks like for the ordinance in the package, this is ordinance 25-003. We have page 1 of 2, and then it has exhibit A, page 1, and then we have the ordinance again. So it looks like we're missing the second page of the ordinance. in the document. Unless your packets are different than what's online. Recommendation for how to fix this legal.
What is on the second page, Molly?
The enacting actions. Adopting and some change.
We did something different in numbering the pages of your packet, so we could all be on the same page. So you'll find a page number at the middle of your page, and I think you're talking about page 20, which is the front page of the ordinance. And are we missing a second page of that ordinance in our packet?
Yes. We have the ordinance twice. We got page 18 and 20. Both one page 1 of 2, but no page 2.
The first page does have all of the. Correct. So yeah, that's,
So the second page is simply the votes and the signatures.
but I have no legal issues concerning, I should say.
Wonderful news.
Since we don't have that second page, is there any actions we need to take?
Yes, generally, this is gonna be more information than just answering your question, but it all goes into it. The charter requires that we read ordinances at 2 separate meetings before passage unless the council unanimously passes the ordinance at one meeting, and it was made available to the public at least 1 week prior to the meeting. Rick did post the packet more than 1 week ahead of this evening's meeting, so we can approve this with 2 readings in the meeting this evening. I should have prepared a script from there. I apologize. Each reading and passage requires a separate motion. So we would first take a motion from the council to introduce or to read the ordinance, unless there is an objection from any of the city council members. We can read it by title only. Generally, I would read that by title only. If any of the council people object to that, then I get to read the entire ordinance. Yes, I've only had to do it once. It doesn't happen very often. That's the process. After the reading, we would then have a motion to either approve, accept the reading and approve the ordinance, or not if there were concerns. And then so long as that first passage was unanimous, we could hold the second reading.
Would you like me to read it?
We,
Motion to read that.
by title only, and as long as everybody votes in favor of that.
I make a motion to read it by ordinance 25-003 by title only.
I second that motion.
There's been a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 25-003 by title only. Take a vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All approved?
You want me to read it, Mayor? Or do you want?
Oh, no, he has to read it.
Which one's?
You don't.
We'd much rather.
Ordinance number 2025 or 25-003, an ordinance rezoning multiple Jervis school district properties to public facilities. And so now we would entertain a motion accepting the first reading of the. Just say so moved. You can just say so moved. Provided the motion on the record.
So moved.
Yes, it does.
Seconded.
And then Mayor, this would be a roll call vote after
This will be roll call
discussion. Yes.
discussions. And it'll be a roll call votes. And starting from the left. Councilwoman Geddes,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gray,
Aye.
Council President Ray,
Aye.
Councilman Geddes,
Aye.
and Councilman Gould.
Aye.
First reading, if the council so chooses, we could have our second reading this evening, and that would require a motion to introduce the ordinance by reading it by title. It's a lot of fun when we have multiple ordinances and we do this.
Good.
I make a motion to have the second reading of the ordinance 25-003 by title only.
Second.
The Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. There's been a motion and a second. Approve the ordinance number 25-003 by title only. Roll call vote again.
This just has to be a voice vote, Mayor, and then the actual vote on adopting the ordinance.
That's all. Okay, voice votes coming. All right, all approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's unanimous.
Ordinance number 25-003, an ordinance rezoning multiple Jervis City School District properties to public facility zone.
Discussion.
Any other discussions with the second member? Negative. Do we need a motion to vote? Yeah, we need a motion to second.
Second.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to vote on ordinance 25-003. I second.
All right, there's been a motion and a vote. Go ahead and do a roll call vote, starting from the left. Councilman Geddes,
Aye.
Councilman Ray,
Aye.
Council President Ray,
Aye.
Councilman Geddes,
Aye.
Councilman Gould.
Aye.
All approved.
Excellent work, council. I'll have a script next time. We have a-
No, this is great.
And thank you, Holly.
I didn't catch that sooner. Thought it was just the signature page.
All right, would you like to discuss B?
Whoa. So we wait for section. See that I got confused by this. We wait for 12.
Council choice, which way you want to go.
Let's get this before you
Okay.
want to bring it up, discuss it. now.
Yeah. As this notes on here, Mr. Homebaum is the way for this contract. Which we need to either look at recruiting a permanent city manager or extend or possibly offer him the permanent position. I would want to make a motion to have a discussion. Want to make a motion to discuss it?
No.
I have been consistently impressed with Mr. Homebaum's ability to communicate with the city council, make himself available to the public, make himself available to the school district. I've talked to a few of our staff who have been very, very happy. And I've been really impressed with his ability to handle our recruitment of a new chief that we've lost. So I am of the opinion that I would like to entertain the idea of Mayor Wagner and Tyler we can also negotiate with private company.
Any questions?
Is this something we need input from the city as well, like constituents?
We could have absolutely do that. If we want to go through the recruiting process, one of the concerns that I had was that if you look at the checks for the last 2-3 months, no offense, Holly, we did a lot to the city of governments, the COG, and to entertain the idea of recruiting, we're looking at least $5,000, $40,000 more. Mr. Holmbaum has been doing the job for us for the last 2 months. I think he's an excellent job. I would like to not do the recruiting. If we want to seek public comment on how the job is being done, I'd be completely open to that for sure. But I would like to avoid, no offense, Holly, giving the COG more money.
I agree with that.
I do like the idea myself. Reason being is because of the cost, first of all. I mean, the city doesn't have a lot of money. And to go out there and spend on an average another $25,000 just for recruitment for a permanent position that you would still probably apply for, you know. When I've talked to a lot of employees here and they've all had very favorable comments. They like working with them. You know, that's a kudos, that's a plus. Talk to the residents that have talked to him, they say they like him. He's very personal, doesn't just push you off. That's very nice. And even the school district, Danny's even mentioned, you know, the fact that he is actually working with the school to try to build that bridge back to where it was before. And those are things the city really needs.
And to add to that too, and Mr. Holmbaum could correct if I'm wrong. Mr. Holmbaum plans on retiring in the next 3 to 5 years, something like that. So give us time to build a foundation, then possibly look at other opportunities going forward with the eventually does retire. He's being very light about it, face it right now. Straight. So I guess in summation, I was looking to look at negotiating a contract, but it sounds like Council President Wright has suggested having another meeting to have public comment. Is that what you're kind of suggesting?
Just want to make sure that we're, you know, following procedure and also what things the community has been upset about in the past. I want to make sure we avoid things of that nature. I agree though. I think that he personally, I have seen an excellent job. Everything's presented easily to where we can navigate things, and for him to just pick up the ball the way he did, it's very commendable.
Could I recommend that we still have Mayor Wagner and Tyler look at a contract and then leave time for our next meeting to have public comment? And then if some public come up like, hey, no, he's terrible, then we can at least entertain that. But if there's no pushback, then we can move forward.
I would agree with that.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with that. I mean, me being the kind of the youngest to the community board here, seeing all the information that's been passed down, the emails, the constant emails and updates about everything in the community and the work that he's putting in.
We need to make a motion to do that now.
We could take the motion, there's pretty clear consensus, for the mayor and myself to negotiate, so we don't require a motion.
Good. Well, good.
So make it so number one.
Yeah.
So first question I have on this portion is letting the public be involved. How we get the information out for June on what's going on. You know, obviously we have the agenda and that's basically about it. So do we do something to make this happen sooner than later? You know, and actually have a work session or something like that to have a public come in here to do it here in a week or two? Do we actually wait another 30 days?
In regards to the city manager?
Yes. We wait another full 30 days for the next meeting. might have in a packet this big. I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out what.
I don't think waiting is not good. We have a work session coming up. Is that something we can add?
That's.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Legally, yeah, no. I would defer somewhat to. Right, I don't know exactly what the. Outlet for that actually is in terms.
We're having a work session. We have a work session Wednesday night, economic development plan. I think that there would be time if we're not surprised by, 90 people showing up for a community discussion about economic development. I'm not expecting 90 people to show up, but if the council wanted to have the economic development session and then go into a work session and talk about me, I guess, that it would be reasonable to be able to do that next Wednesday evening.
I like that idea because if 90 people do show up, that's more people to discuss city manager too. All right, thank you. So, do we need to make a motion to change anything since it's a work session?
I think there's council consensus asking the city attorney and the mayor to move forward with the task. I think that's good enough and a plan to have a conversation next Wednesday evening.
Yes, please do. Good, thank you. All right, now for new business. First item on the new business is the housing grant resolution, resolution 25-010. A resolution supporting application for a housing planning assistance grant to fund an update housing capacity analysis and buildable land inventory to support long-term housing supply in the Service Urban Growth Boundary. So I'd like to take that on. Deja vu.
We make Tyler read this one too.
Yes.
The council rules of procedure don't account for that, so.
The way that the Oregon land use system works is there's an inherent assumption that all cities will grow over time. And to that, cities are generally required to provide a 20-year land supply for both residential growth and employment land. It's been a number of years since Jervis has taken a look at their land supply for long-term growth. Back in 2015, there was a need. You knew how many acres you needed based upon your population projections. The system for calculating those acres has changed since that time. What this is simply a grant for housing planning. And what this would do would provide the city of Jervis funding to produce a housing capacity analysis and a buildable. And so this grant does not require a match. It certainly is helpful, but it's not required. A match could be done in kind through staff time. But it would provide the funding to have a new housing capacity analysis performed. And that would tell you essentially how many acres Jervis is expected to grow over the next 20 years. And that is the first step toward an eventual urban growth boundary expansion. So you can't expand your urban growth boundary until you have this housing capacity analysis performed. It'll tell you how many units you'll need, how many you can provide within your existing city limits through infill development and different types of housing, and eventually how many acres you need. So there's a big push right now. There's a new office for housing planning at the Department of Land Conservation and Development. It's called the Oregon Housing Accountability and Production Office, or HAPO. And so now they have they're all staffed up and ready to assist with this process. But this grant fund is available. The deadline is, I believe, the first week of August 2nd, I believe, August 3rd. And so we are prepared to help the city write this grant application. We simply need a resolution of support from the city council to apply for this grant. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
That was my next question, is who is doing the application?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward application. At COG, we're writing a couple of them for a couple of different things, all for housing capacity analysis. This is a top priority right now for this grant.
Why would we match? Why would we put money to match?
The department has hinted that it could make your application more competitive. So typically when through a grant like this, it would give you two options if you were successful. Either they would give the city the money and you could contract with your own consultant, or that you could choose from a pool of consultants that DLCD has. That's up to the city, but typically you use the pool of pre-selected consultants that they have on hand. And then the city would use your staff time from City Hall, as well as some of my staff time to actually get it through the final implementation adoption process at the end. So you could count that as match.
And is the likelihood that we would get the grant pretty high?
It's a good question. We know that HCA's are their top priority. And in the resolution itself, I provided some of the numbers in there. Essentially what it looks like is right now there's about 6 acres of remaining undeveloped residential land outside of your city limits, but inside your urban growth boundary. And last year there was a study and analysis by the Oregon Department of Administrative Services, or DAS, that projected that Jervis needed to essentially provide 249 dwelling units of housing over the next 20 years. Some of that would be in your city limits and some of that would be growing outward as well. So, some numbers to chew on there. But with this resolution of support, COG would move forward with your grant application, and it's a pretty quick turnaround. They're expected to announce those in September.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find, you say match, but I don't know what the match is. Like, what is the expected grant? How much?
That's an excellent question. We would ask DLCD staff to make a recommendation on dollar for the HCA and BLI. So it could be 40 grand potentially for those two studies for an outside consultant to do.
And we're matching that 1-to-1.
No, there's no financial match required.
Like you said, with hours, with data understanding. You say you get to match with hours?
No, there could be some in-kind staff hours provided by the city.
She's saying that's how our funds are matching. Instead of matching money, we're using hours, people. Does that make sense?
No, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand what that would look like, how many hours, like how much is that gonna pull Kyle or whoever they're gonna need to do this, like.
For final ordinance adoption between city manager, myself, city attorney, they probably do it in 20 hours total. If it's just writing the findings and final ordinance,
Thank you.
absolutely.
What happens if we don't do it? The city doesn't. Not the grant, but
Right.
the development plan.
So the city wouldn't have future growth potential. So you wouldn't have land for future housing in Jervis.
So people would invest in the city. People would invest in the city, I guess is what you're saying, because they live in houses and businesses and whatnot.
Right.
And put it back to keep to elaborate on that even more. This came up during their interviews. If we can't grow, I feel like we'll be enveloped.
Right.
So, and I know that's not always a popular opinion that I have, but like, I just think it's a reality. They're moving this way. If we don't push back, then they're just going to come at us.
I'm not saying not to do it.
Yeah.
And the process of growth is so slow because this project could take, a year plus, and then the whole UGB study could take, another half a year. And so everything, and then we need to do actual growth in concert, hand in hand with infrastructure expansion. And those are a whole nother studies. And so it's by no means
Just, sorry.
But these are the foundational steps that you need to take.
I just have one last question about when I was reading through the fee schedules for COG. So would this be an additional fee as well from COG for their grant writing?
No, my understanding was that COG was funding the grant writing services.
So you know, 10% increase.
Thank you. I motion to adopt the resolution 25010.
I second.
Been a motion to second to approve resolution 25-010. Any other discussions? Before we take a vote? All right, let's do a roll call vote. Councilwoman Geddes,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ray.
Aye.
Council President Ray,
Aye.
Councilman Geddes,
Aye.
and Councilman Gould.
Aye.
So passed by all. Next item on the agenda is the annual audit, the letter of engagement from Red W Advisors and CPAs.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak to this?
Please do.
It is a part of the annual process of an audit to enter into a letter of engagement. Essentially, a letter of engagement is an agreement between us and the auditors as to the work to be performed, costs involved, the level of expectation they have of city staff, the level of review that they will provide you. And so essentially, while it is referred to as a letter of engagement, it's actually an agreement and it's a contract. And so it is before the council, since it is an audit. This is something that at some point is directly between you and the auditor, as it is your fiduciary responsibility as an elected body to have an understanding of our finances and our audit. So the agreement, is signed by the mayor on behalf of the council. And while staff provides data to the audit, the results of the audit is a conversation with you and the auditor, where they will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so this is just the agreement that we will pay for their services, which they have taken to heart and have already started the work, counting on your affirmative vote. Both the city attorney and I have reviewed the document completely. 95% of it is boilerplate. The city attorney can speak for himself, but neither one of us have any issues or concerns about this letter of engagement for the 23-24 audit. We're a year behind the 23-24 audit and the services of this company.
Good thinking. This is the same company we used last year.
I believe so, yes. They did last year, but not the year before.
Correct. So last year, what's the difference in cost? Just wondering my person. Difference in cost between last year and this year for the installments? Is there a difference or is it the same cost?
I was thinking it was $6,000. No, so what, I'm thinking of the wrong contract. I do not know the accurate answer.
We have how much they want here, at least on one plan. Council, have any questions on this item?
No
Mayor,
questions, it looks straightforward to me.
I do believe that this firm's standard audit cost was $20,000. 10%. Don't know that was charged, but
That's what I'm seeing around everywhere, is about 10% from every company or any business.
And to that, I would remind the council that it's a little bit more challenging doing an audit with data as far back as 3 years. It takes a little bit more effort and staff time to go back and now do the analysis of older data.
And this is for the 23-24.
It's
Any other questions by the council?
We have an expected date for the finishing of this audit.
I do not, and I doubt if I'll get one from them until they do their site visit next week.
There are no more questions from the council. We can motion.
A motion to authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the council would be considered the appropriate moment.
I, Petra, make a motion for the mayor to sign on behalf of the council, the contract for our 2023-2024 audit.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second.
Seconded.
So James Gold. All right, since we're on a roll, let's do roll call vote again. Councilman Geddes,
I,
Councilwoman Ray,
Aye.
Council President Ray,
Aye.
Councilman Geddes.
Aye.
Councilman Gold,
Aye.
all of the best. All right, next item on the agenda for new business. Intergovernmental agreement with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments and the City of Jervis, the annual agreement.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak to this?
Please do.
This is an annual agreement typically done before July 1st, but it didn't make the June meeting. This is the Council of Governments is a membership organization. We are a member of the Council of Governments. We have an agreement in order to be a member of the Council of Governments, just like every other city within the region. This is that annual agreement and the costs involved. However, I need to state a disclaimer here. And I've got a staff member here who can witness what it is I share. I do not wish the council to be surprised because we are going to get another letter with a 10% increase on top of this letter. I haven't seen that letter yet, but it is coming. Due to federal funding, the Council of Governments is looking at a $600,000 void in their budget. Keep in mind, the Council of Governments is the federally recognized economic development district for this region. And they have found out very recently, in fact, since this document was sent out, that they're going to see about 600,000 less federal funding. Board intentionally made the decision that they did not wish to cut services at this time. They thought that would be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and so they are dispatching letters to all the members asking for an additional 10% on top of this agreement. I just want to make sure that you are aware that we are going to see another ask from the Council of Governments, and I don't wish you to be surprised by that. In fact, it's changing times for us, and while they may have to change how they are organized and what they provide in future services, at this point in time, they intend to spend the next year doing the same services that they've offered previously. Therefore, they're asking for the funds from the membership rather than cutting services at this time. So this is before you as our normal annual fee that we pay for our membership. Nothing that different than before, but you are going to see a 10% ask. I would anticipate at your next council.
Yeah, I've been looking into this myself. The only thing I can't find is, I've seen where they're talking about the 10% increase on services. I just wondered if it's 10% on registrations also. I didn't see that in there. Either way, just something to be aware of, maybe on everything.
I'm not aware of what the figures are using the 10% for, but I assumed it was what they're paying for membership. Because they need to fill that 60,000 hole, completely reorganize prior to July 1st, because of what has happened with the federal funding gone.
Does council have any questions on this matter? But this would be a motion to renew the annual agreement, right? And
I move we renew the annual agreement.
make a motion to renew the LLC's agreement.
Make a motion to renew the annual agreement for the COG.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Was there any further discussions?
Sure. I mean, my interpretation of this in these, you know, I don't consider that we have other options because they provide services to us. We don't have the capacity. I also want to make sure before he's talking about a 10% increase on top of a previous 10% increase. So is that correct?
No,
So flat, so set off the base. Look, I just want to make sure that we've been with the COG for a long time, but I just want to know that we look through our due diligence. So we have any other options, basically.
That's kind of where I was at. Like, I almost like we're kind of stuck because we don't have the resources that they provide.
Is that kind of the long and short of it? Okay. Thank you.
Looking into this when this first came into what's happening in the city changes, we had the COG and the LLC. Those are pretty much the main supporters that we have for everybody's experience in city governments, especially board, to help us. That's why when I first came on, I reached out to COG originally after talking to the LLC.
I have no more discussion.
Discussions? Okay. We got a motion, we got a second to approve renewal of the annual agreement for the COG. Roll call vote. Councilwoman Geddes,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Council President Wright,
Hi,
Councilman Geddes.
Aye.
And Councilman Gould.
Aye.
All approves. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the annual conference for the League of Oregon Cities. It's going to be in Portland on October 2nd, or October 2nd to the 4th. Would you like to discuss this, Rick?
Mr. Mayor and Council, the annual League of Oregon Cities Conference will be in Portland, first week of October. And while the annual conference is actually the 2nd and 4th, typically there's some groups that meet the day before, such as city managers and professional groups. and often a session for new city councilors. So that could actually be on October 1st. Now, what I included in your packet was last year's schedule. I included last year's conference schedule in your packet, so you would have an opportunity to see all of the kinds of workshops, seminars, and training opportunities that exist. It is in Portland. Almost the most expensive thing is hotel costs if everybody went up there and stayed in a hotel. It's a great training opportunity. If you can attend without it disturbing your normal work stuff, I would highly recommend you seriously consider going up to the conference. It's a little bit spendy, but it's worth it. You'll get to network with other new city councilors. You'll get to hear the battle wars, the battle scars. You'll get professional training from real people that have done what you are doing. It's absolutely amazing. City attorneys usually have a meeting during the event, and they're usually all up there. City recorders usually have an event, they're all up there. City managers are up there all week. But this conference is scheduled, is intended for the education of the volunteer public servants. While there are professional level events that occur, the orientation is, been elected to council, never been in a meeting before. What are the Oregon public laws? What are the budget laws? What are the parameters of your job? What can you do? What can't you do? It's a unique opportunity, and by chance, it happens to be the 100th anniversary of the League of Oregon Cities. So there's a few extra little special things that will be going on this activities. It's up there. There is a scholarship that was available until July 7th. I know at least one of you applied for that scholarship, I believe. But we budgeted $3,000 for council training. I would not feel bad if we overspend it, because we're in the unusual position of having a brand new council with not a lot of long-term experience on council. So overspending that particular budget line would not be the worst thing in the world. But I would strongly encourage your consideration. Registration has not opened yet. Sign up for scholarships has closed. I would suggest you think about your personal schedules. I would think about what kind of favorite cousin you have that lives in this particular neighborhood in Portland that you can stay with. But sooner or later, we need to have a conversation about who's going and how much we want to spend and make this all happen. But this is a significant opportunity for all of you. The new schedule's not out for the conference yet. That's why I gave you last year's. But this is purely information. Any decisions from you tonight? I don't know what kind of dialogue you want to have tonight or at some other future date, but this is the biggie. This is the outside of doing stuff online by yourself. This is the best opportunity, and it is the best opportunity to network and really get some hands-on knowledge from people that have been doing this for a long time.
All right, just for council's awareness, as soon as the scholarship came out, I got an email in the city email. I applied for it, so I'm doing that. And even if I don't get the scholarship, I still got a place to stay up there. So gotta save some money.
I applied as well. That was my question. Do you know when we will have answers on the scholarships?
I do not. I will make inquiries.
That was just a notification, correct? That was just a notification in the agenda. Any other discussions on this? The LOC council stand up? Negative, okay. Let's please move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the council work session for July 16th at 7 p.m. Rick?
We have a scheduled work session for 7 p.m. and after this work session, we'll go into another work session and talk about the city manager. On page 89 of your packet, if you look at the page number at the bottom of the page, you have the draft agenda and you have the comments from the consultants that are coming to meet with you next Wednesday evening. Now, this is a North Marion Regional Economic Development Plan, but there is a section for the city of Jervis plan. And really, the consultants involved in this project want to hear from you and the community as it relates to what you think would work for economic development activities. What is worth the investment? What is worth the time? What is worth the focus as it relates to improving the business community within our Jervis community? On the bottom of that page, you'll see some of the questions on page 89 that will be addressed. It will be a presentation, it will be a dialogue, and then you're going to get asked questions by the people as to what it is you want to see happen. Now, economic development is one of those activities in city management that could be a full-time activity all by itself. So it's just a portion of the pie that I can provide for you. But this is an opportunity for you to set your own direction, almost economic development goal setting for just economic development, essentially on Wednesday evening at 7. I will amend this agenda to include the work session regarding the city manager contract or employment and revise it. But this page does provide you with an outline and some ideas for you to be thinking about in preparation to next Wednesday evening at 7. I'm not requesting any action. Whatever you wish to discuss is fine, and I'm happy to answer questions. But this is an opportunity for the city of Jervis to move forward in this particular arena.
The only question I had when reading it is, I know this is basically it's a partnership with 9 different cities for bringing this up for the company of Johnson Economics. Has this been done before for Jervis? Different company. Have we done an economic development plan before?
I'm not aware of one that's been done in the last 10 years.
Michael Shink
There was something in 06 that was done in the region. There was something in the region that was done in 06, but I can't tell you how much specificity there was for Jervis. But there was a regional plan done in 06 that I'm aware of.
Yes, ma'am. That was information only. So does the council have any questions on the work session coming up next week? No questions or concerns? Let's move on to the last item on the new agenda, new items, which is goal setting plans, discussion for training session for council.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you've made it perfectly clear to staff that you wish to have a goal setting session. Of course, I answered you in response to, well, what do you want to see happen? I've given you, I think, a 3-page outline of an option of a plan for goal setting. I'm not sure if it matches exactly what you want or not, but I would hope that we could have some discussion and you provide me with some guidance as well as guidance as to when you wish to start.
It's 93-page report. Thank you.
On page 129 of your council packet, I have a draft report titled Jervis City Goals and Strategy, July 2025 to December 2026. Now, I picked the 18 months because, quite honestly, this council, barring any unknowns, you're a team. You're all here until the end of December of 2026. So, that's why I picked that time frame as to what it is that we want to focus on in the next 18 months. If you wish to go a different direction beyond your scheduled time of service, that's fine with me. But I was thinking you want to get together and think about what is it that we want to try to at least get done or at least get started in the way of priorities and planning in the next 18 months that all of you are scheduled to still be on council. As most of you are probably aware, all of you except one are up for election in November of 2026. So that's why I picked the 18-month time period for us to have the conversation about, because you're all here for 18 months. This is an outline that I'm proposing to you. But goal setting is something different for each one of us. And I want to make sure that what we invest our time in has the process and the expectations that you want to see happen. And so that's question number one. Does this timeline or schedule match your interest and your desires? And secondly, when would you like to start? So that's what is before you as discussion items. And I'm hoping for some guidance from council as to what you want to see happen in the way of goal setting.
We started from the beginning of this year. We were talking about wanting to make sure the residents are involved, the public's involved. So either way, in order, before we even do this, I really want to invite the public to go ahead and provide their input. Tell us what they think the city goals are, what their ideas are. They're our constituents. They're the ones we're supporting, we're up here for. We can speak for ourselves to a point, but we need to speak for everyone. So I'd really like to figure out a way to get this out there so the public can submit the goal projects ahead of time before we do this. Could we do, like we were talking about before, possibly putting in a newsletter with the utility bill, identifying information like this?
Absolutely. If you look at the bottom of page 129, under the recommended action plan, it says we invite public input to submit goals and projects, and then staff collect the data prior to the goal setting session, presents the data from that public input to the council prior to the goal setting session. So the intent here is to engage the public as much as we can, and have that input prior to your gathering when you look at what everybody has had to say, and then start looking at prioritizations.
Yeah, so when I look at this, I like a lot of what I see as far as the 2021 goals as a baseline. Hearing what we think, hearing what the public thinks. I think it looks really good. I guess the question then would be, and even the work session of how the timing frames up correctly. The question would then be, what would be the timeline be to send out this thing to get public comment? And then from there, when do we think we can meet? I think that's really where we're at with this thing. That's kind of the question you're asking, correct?
I think that's the last question.
I believe that's the question you're asking, like you want our timeline?
Well, we were planning on doing the newsletter every quarter, which means the next one goes out the first week of October. But we can always make an exception and nothing like that. I don't see us doing this during the summer months, but maybe I have the perception about where we're at right now during the summer months. But if we move that up to September, send them out with the August bills the first week of September, and then plan a third week of September. Give them 2 weeks to provide input, give staff a week to put it together, and in late September, we sit down as in a work session and have our gathering during the last week of September. I think that's very reasonable.
I actually recommend that we do it, after the conference in case there's training
That's-
event.
That was gonna be my suggestion as well, like September, people are busy with getting kids back to school, they're getting back into their schedule. Like, yeah, we,
Like, I think
Yeah,
the second
sounds
week,
October.
like, second,
And that would work better for us because our next newsletter is scheduled to go out first week of October.
we want to set up, set up beforehand so we can get the data correctly. So
Right.
September, yeah, I like it, yes, sir. So I think say have the newsletter in September, or what I was set up with the survey basically, September. Have our October meeting, which will give people a chance to come and say, probably, and then have a work session the week after possibly.
Yes, so we're gonna allow input at the council meeting and then have a work session a week after the council meeting in October.
I just clarified, when you going out with the newsletter, September, October, I thought October was.
We'll move it to September so we give people more time.
Thank you. I want to be able to maximize, the ability for the public to be able to go ahead and nobody's transparency for trying to get involved too.
So
Anybody think anything differently? You have consensus?
Like the idea of that, actually after that, but not said conference, that second, fourth. What's our city council meeting?
The second would be our October council
We
meeting.
have to push it back to the
If they go to the conference, October second through the fourth,
Second to the fourth.
the second is.
we'll
a
move
Thursday.
our council, October council meeting to the second week of October.
And we have on the meeting. It needs to sit with Thursday, the 16th.
Do we need to make those changes now or should we wait?
I'll consider the direction. That's the consensus council is directed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other process steps that you want to see happen. But more importantly, if you go to the conference and you see something that you want us to include, it won't be too late to make some, we'll have input data, but that doesn't mean that we can't change process based upon something we pick up at the conference.
Does the council have any other questions on item F? Those same plans? We'll move on to our next item of business, which is the staff reports. City manager.
You have a printed report in front of you, hopefully in your council packet on page 131. I shared the news about the 10% already with you that we will be getting from the Council of Governments. I think the only other thing I would say is that I thought the 4th of July event was a major success. I've already started a little bit of internal staff debriefing from it, lessons learned, things we're going to do different next year. And I've invited some of the volunteers that were involved in the event to meet in mid-August. We're going to have a little debrief, hopefully the week of August, as it relates to how the event went as a whole, as well as what it is we want to do different or not do different, as well as talk about when should we start planning 2026. So that's a debrief event from the 4th of July that we're moving forward to happen in the middle of August. I don't think I have anything else that I need to share outside of my print report. We did do our first city newsletter. Desiree did a fantastic job with it. Hopefully, if you got your utility bill, you saw your utility bill and your newsletter. There's 10 copies right here on the front, 9 copies right here on the front desk. Haven't seen it yet. That went out last week. Utility bills. Our original plan is quarterly. The expense is the difference in postage and staff time mostly. It's 13 cents for a postcard versus an envelope. And But it is a little bit labor intensive, folding, stuffing, then matching address labels to the utility bills. But haven't heard that much about it, quite honestly. But we haven't heard anything bad about it. So I have nothing else to add to my staff report beyond what you have.
Next staff report, public department, or police department.
Our police chief is not here this evening. He is traveling on the road this evening on a prearranged break that was arranged prior to him even coming to us. You should have the written report as it relates to calls. I can say that we've been a little bit more active with code enforcement and with a lot of success. Our current police chief has been pretty proactive in going out and visiting with and people that need another perspective to consider. And so I've been very pleased with the change as it relates to how we address some of our challenging situations within our community. And I can say that was a good success. Kyle, myself, and the chief have been out on two of them. Although the three of us have all been out on the same two on one particular occasion. So, you know, we're being noticed when the three of us are standing in the street, let me tell you. But no, things are doing well with the police department, and we are working on recruiting right now. An experienced officer. We're not ready to announce a decision yet, but we have made an offer.
Kyle, public works department.
You all have the written report here, but I'd like to add a couple things to it. Starting off with the July, I understand it's a successful event. Thank all the volunteers involved. Excellent cleanup. Made very, very little work the following day. So everybody came together as a team and just made the event happen. For lots of positive reflection on that as well. I'd also like to thank the city of Sherwood who lent barricades, the traffic barricades. That is one thing that they were able to obtain with a grant some years back, and they were not used this year. So Dan O'Loughlin, police chief, was able to arrange for us to borrow that, so that made the older men a lot safer. That's about that for the 4th of July. But the month of June was very active here, especially with the team now at full capacity. But Mike worked right out of the gate, performed several excavation and utility installs that typically involve either hiring out for like directional drilling or saw cutting the street, patchwork until patches to fade. So that's been kind of fun to watch him run the equipment better than any of us ever have. It's 20 years of experience. One other thing, Black Walnut Park has received some damages over the last month. Some intentional, some not so much. There was a driver, I believe, traveling southbound 99, went through our fence again on the backside of the park. So we've been in contact with their insurance, our insurance agencies who responded to that. Have an estimate in place, looking at getting at least one more estimate of the repairs will have that fixed. Then on another note, the second tree in as many years, there's been one that has been stripped of all of its bark. Will most likely die within the next year. We've had that happen to one of the Tree City trees. Later than winter. So that one will be removed. This one most likely within the next year, which is rather unfortunate. It's one of the original trees to the park. And then touch real quickly, all council members at the time of the letter, I don't know if the newest members have received a letter from Oregon Department of Environmental Quality regarding our TMDL, essentially requirements and changes to our treatment. There's going to be a series of trainings starting in September, which staff will be attending. Basically, to get all the pertinent information for any kind of changes coming to Jervis here. And we'll basically come together, form a comprehensive plan. We have until November of 2026 to implement. So I don't anticipate a lot of substantial changes. It has to do with primarily cooling the temperatures of the water, what's considered Sand Ground Creek, which we all know is dry multiple months out of the year. So I don't expect or anticipate substantial changes, but just going to touch bases on the others.
Thank you, and I know for a fact your new employee is fitting in really well with y'all.
It's very nice to have them on.
Yes, sir.
I have a question on the TMDL. So right now we're meeting our total maximum daily load, but they're looking at changing the requirements. That's correct.
Yes. Yes. Currently, there is no limits on it. It's we have to do a certain amount of preventative maintenance to reduce pollutants. Right. And that what they're looking at changing is it's basically trying to affect downstream temperatures in water. So we are considered a management agency because our stormwater does connect to the rivers basin. So we are affected. But like I said, I don't anticipate substantial changes for that as we find out what those will be reported.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I omitted one item from my police chief report. In the newsletter is the flyer about National Night Out. And the planning is well moving forward. The school district is providing a majority of the food and is doing the organizing. If you're interested in volunteering and helping with food service or donating hamburger buns or something like that, let me know. The school district is taking the lead on that. But the police department, as well as other community partners, are coming together to make that a very successful event. And I would encourage all of you to make plans to attend National Night Out on August 5th at 6 o'clock.
I have a question on that. Who are the partners that we're working with besides the police department? The school. Yeah, who the partners are?
Majority of the partners is the Jervis Community Foundation team.
Is that the Jervis Community Progress Team?
Yes. And school district staff and the police department. And what was that the last one? You had the last one?
Yes.
Who else was there?
No, not the last one.
Okay.
The last.
That's about as much as I.
You so lucky stick with your house. Next item on the staff reports is check register. The only question I had on it is, because I couldn't find out who it was, who is business oriented?
The city of Jervis has 3 different loan grants from previous infrastructure projects. One of them is Infrastructure Finance Authority, which is a division of Business Oregon. That is a loan payment of about $60,000 for some previous project. I assume Public Works, but it's loan payment. No, and I'm thinking there's 150 left. I'm thinking this is the one that is darn close being paid off. I think the final payment's next year. This was the 2024 payment we made last week. So I think we have both the 2025 and the 2026 payment to do. But we're near the end of that particular payment.
Thank you. Yeah, the numbers have jumped out.
I'm sure it did.
And in parentheses, I also saw reimbursement.
Did you?
Which reimbursement did you ask about?
For the police chief.
Yeah, he's been doing some, equipment acquisitions, based upon, well, I still don't have a city credit card because, I'm interim. We've been making some acquisitions for the police department that he's had to make, personally and provide receipts for in order to get. We've done some, about 5 AEDs. We don't have any AEDs in our, and we've been buying some other vests, equipment, stuff that we should have, that we don't have.
This is also for a lot of stuff that was broken or out of date, like tasers, things like that. Council have any other questions on the June's bill list? Not seeing any. We'll move on to mayor or councilor reports. Well, I will start if everybody doesn't mind. For myself, I want to sit here and personally thank every person that volunteered on the 4th of July. There were at least 200 people out there when we were counting. And the great part about it is most of them stayed out there. The streets stayed full for about 3 hours straight. Everybody liked the idea of actually having it more in the afternoon, so it's not throughout the entire day where it's just people coming in onesies and twosies at a time. They really liked the interactions that we did, like a cakewalk and things along that lines. So we want to definitely go ahead and consider doing that over again. People like being involved in it. We had originally only 8 vendors that showed up, and then 2 showed up afterwards. And since we didn't charge them for a spot, we said, go ahead, come on in. And every single one of the vendors said they made some good money. They really appreciate it, and they're looking forward to coming back next year. So it goes to everyone, all volunteers. Michael, thank you very much for the fireworks, like I said. Volunteers that showed up.
I forgot to thank Kyle and Peanut guys.
Kyle, yeah.
I forgot, I spaced that, and my apologies. You guys were awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes, the city, police officers, everybody that helped set everything up terribly down. Really appreciate it. Now, use that for a segue. Thing I wanted to go ahead and start considering is, besides social media and personal talk and everything else, there are events that the city really wants to continue to do, or residents want to do, or groups want to do for the city. I really think we need to consider starting up a committee again for this. You know, I mean, get volunteers that want to come in and help out. It can't just be 1, 2, 3 people like Michael, you know, and the people that usually are the only ones that you seem to be seen doing this. So if we could get an events committee started, you know, they can go ahead and work well in advance instead of last 2 months before an event. You know, get things set up ahead of time, like 10 months in advance, like the 4th of July, the parades, the Christmas events, you know, any other items that the city wants to be a national night out, possibly Easter egg hunting, you know, that's what they're wanting to do. But I really think we need to start looking at getting a events committee started so we can actually have volunteers help on this that are from the city.
I think that'd be good to put on our goal settings. Putting that in with our goals to get that event stuff done.
And just also piggyback on that, I know, Council Member Gould and Council President, Wright were here. Well, when Preston was here, he was recommending not having the committee be done by the council because it would bring bureaucratic red tape, as opposed to having a committee set up that we can meet and have someone to liaison with, as opposed to us being too directly involved, because it would add a lot of red tape.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, is if we had a goal setting meeting, got goal people involved that way, not us be a part of it, maybe one of us be in the group, but like have like a,
Address how we get that committee going.
Yeah.
Like, do we put it in the flyer? Hi, Jervis, people were looking for the committee, like, that's something easy we could put in the flyer that's out there in the community that lets them know that we're looking for these people.
How do you all feel about that? You like that idea too? That's great.
It's, yeah, he's saying an events committee, so instead of just being like the 4th of July committee, it would be like a full blown, like any event that they, yeah. People. And then doing.
What's your question?
Question, I know that the Jervis Community Projects team does various different events. So would that be separate from that? Because I know that, you know, part of the National Night Out, the Christmas event, just, you know, just other different events, so.
I think there'd be things that we'd have to work out between
Or
the
someone
city
together.
and that, for sure. Due to them possibly exclusion of things, we don't want to do that. So
Right.
I think it would definitely be, there would need to be a partnership in a way
Right.
with that.
Yeah, definitely partnership. That way, go ahead. I mean, depending on the events, it could be the city and the school involved, police officers and, you know, CPT or another nonprofit, doesn't matter.
Well, another one, yes.
Or
Yeah,
somebody-
any other nonprofit that wants to help out as well.
or any other event that's not something that the city wants to get involved in, but we'd like to have for the residents,
Mhm.
GCPT or another nonprofit do, like, I'd still love to actually start back up doing movie night in the park. I love doing that for
Yeah.
kids. You know, once a month in the summer,
Mhm.
just advertising, hey, we're gonna have a movie in the park, show up here, bring your blankets, your kids and your chairs if you want.
Yeah.
I got the movie and speakers and everything else. The city's got the screen to help out, but those kind of things we can keep separate, but the city would still be able to assist us with things like that. Yes, G-rated movies. 30. Anything else from council? There's not gonna be any old business because we did not need to have an executive session tonight. So I am going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:35 PM. Thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it.
You mentioned that vendors that we had here were all Jervis residents.
Yes,
Yeah.
every single one of the vendors was a Jervis resident. That was the whole concept. Was just, no, I was the whole concept. So interaction. So the only one we did not do because of that, they had a fence over